Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Dadas Show, coming to you from Ole Sereni Hotel here in Nairobi. I'm your host, Ashiko Mbune. Now, Dadas Show aspires to promote the spirit of sisterhood and solidarity, and we do this by creating an open and safe platform for women to discuss issues pertaining to their work, their health, and their families. Now, the Top 40 Under 40 Africa Awards was created to identify, recognize, and celebrate a cross-section of the continent's most influential and accomplished young business leaders. Of course, all from different industries and under the ages of 40. Now, this year, the awards were held in March the 30th, and it saw very many young business leaders clutch the top prize. Amongst the winners, we were proud to be represented by some amazing young ladies who were able to take home the coveted prize. Now, in the spirit of sisterhood and solidarity, we have invited these phenomenal young ladies to be able to tell us what being in the top 40 under 40 means to them, and what they intend to do with this prestigious award, and how we at home and business ladies and young ladies can be able to learn from what they have learned and the lessons that they have accomplished till date. As always, I welcome you at home to take part in this and any other conversation that we may be having by reaching us at KBC Channel 1. You can also reach me directly at Ashiko the host across all social media platforms. Now, before we get into today's celebration, let's take a look at the following feature.
March 30th, 2024, Kenya made history by hosting the 40 Under 40 Awards for the first time in East Africa. Previously, the award ceremony has been hosted in Ghana and South Africa. The event comprises a tour, summit, and awards. The event, which celebrates the continent's most promising young entrepreneurs and CEOs under 40 years old, shined a spotlight on Africa's vibrant business landscape and its rising stars. The award is well deserved and credits the incredible work of various individuals. According to the founder and event director Richard Abbey Jr., Kenya has been participating since 2022 and has raised the flag high in winning substantial number of the categories. In the past 2 years, the company has spotlighted over 300 young continental leaders in various sectors. The nominated individuals undergo a jury seeking outstanding entrepreneurs, executives, managers, and professionals in the public and private and non-profit sectors, and will recognize attributes such as achievements in business, experience and innovation, vision, leadership, and community involvement. The categories cover a wide range of all the various sectors you can think of, ranging from banking and finance, energy, family business, agriculture, theatre and arts, journalism, fashion, law, sports, event management, health, technology, and innovation, amongst others. By shining the award on the young achievers, it will not only celebrate them, but also build a strong platform for them by giving a voice and opportunities to the next generation of industry pace-setters, while building a positive attitude in our youth to strive for excellence at a tender age. The winners were Joan Kabugu, who scooped the honorary awards films, Robert Bell, Irene Simon Ivambi from Tanzania, Kwezi Kunene from South Africa, Sophie Achieng Otende from Kenya, among others. These are remarkable women who have shaped industries and careers. They are fierce and talented. They have shattered glass ceilings with complete competence and absolute integrity.
We are celebrating the just concluded Top 40 Under 40 Africa Awards, where we were represented. Women in Kenya, young ladies from girls across within our borders were represented by some phenomenal women. And I have the privilege and the honor to have some of them sitting today here with me so that they can discuss how did they get there? How do you get to be nominated and later on to actually come and win such a prestigious award? So my panel today consists of Miss Maria Goretti Nkumba, who is is the founder and the managing director of Xperia Agency Limited. Karibu sana, Maria. It is such an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
And then next to her, we have Miss Quinta Achieng, who is the founder of Task Concepts. I hope I'm saying it correctly. And the driving force behind the Art for Change project in Kenya. We will get an opportunity to find out what are these companies, what are these platforms that they used to get this prestigious award. Of course, I cannot fail to acknowledge my wonderful audience who make time week in, week out to sit with me as we discuss contentious issues, as we celebrate, like what we are doing today, some of the milestones that Kenyan women have taken. Karibu Nisana, ladies and gentlemen. So, just allow me as and the part of Dadas show to acknowledge and to recognize you ladies for what you have done. I mean, being top 40 under 40 is not an easy fit. This is something that definitely took years in the making. This took a lot of ambition. This took a lot of drive and tenacity for you to get here. So on behalf of Dadas show and the team in KBC, we want to congratulate you, and we are honored to have you here. I'll start off with you, Maria. I did get the opportunity to actually skim through your LinkedIn when I was doing my research on you, and girl, yeah, it's very, very, very impressive. I am in awe of your drive. I'm in awe of your ambition. But for our friends back home who've not had a chance to Google you, kindly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and your professional journey.
Okay, my name is Maria Goretin Kumba. I'm 35 years old. I like introducing myself as a village girl who hails from Moranga town. Motown. I'm a Motown girl. And every time I say that, everyone always looks at me like, no, you're lying. I'm like, yes, I grew up in Moranga and only came to Nairobi to go to campus.
Oh, wow.
But I also like introducing myself as a daughter from the mountains. I hail from 3 different mountains in Africa, Mount Kenya, Mount Rwenzori, and the Virunga Mountains.
Oh, wow.
So if you know your geography, you might know where that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's who I am. I started Xperia Agency 5 years ago. And I have to say it's been one of the most humbling life experiences to run your own business.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you started 5 years ago, where were you before? What was the turning point for you that made you think, you know what, I can do this by myself?
So I started my career at Ginadine Corporate Communications.
Yes.
That was in 2010, where I gained a lot of my experience from, and I stayed there for 3 years. I always say that's where I learned my resilience. I learned what it means to work as a team. I learned what it meant to, to always put yourself out there, and to always handle your assignment to, to perfection,
Yes.
for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And then from there, I went to Engage Corporate Communications. It was another PR agency where I stayed for 6 years, and I set up their events arm. So I was the events lead. So all the events, the corporate events that we're handling, I was the one who was in charge. So again, a lot of experience gained from that as well. And end of 2018 is when I was like, no, I think I've now gotten a hang of how this is done,
Yeah.
and it's time for me to step out and to do this on my own. I didn't know what was ahead, but I still stepped out in faith.
Yes.
Yeah, and 5 years down the line, inclusive of the COVID experience, here we are.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we need to give her a round of applause, for the journey thus far.
Yeah.
And it's always good to acknowledge the milestones, and we like seeing that kind of growth in some of the guests that we have. And even in your friends, even in your family, you want to see a progression, from being employee
Yeah.
to heading a department and to finally having yours. So congratulations, Sana Maria.
Thank you.
I'm going to move on to you, Miss Quinta Achieng, and karibu sana to Dadas show. Now, I'm of the school of thought that people who've been given talents, be it singing, be it acting, be it dancing, be it anything creative, then they owe it to themselves and to society to use that talent for the betterment of not only themselves, but for the society at large, which is pretty much the platform that you use to get a win. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and the journey thus far? Karibu sana Quinta.
Asante Ashiko. My name is Ochieng Quinta. Born and raised in Bondo, watu wa Bondo.
Bondo massive.
Yeah, so as a child, growing up in Bondo, that rocky land, the land is very rocky there. So I grew up all my childhood in Bondo, and then I got an opportunity to go to one of the best national high schools in Kenya, where I experienced and I saw firsthand what they do when in terms of art, something that they don't do in Bondo back at home. So they have these clubs, art clubs, singing clubs and all that stuff. And I developed the interest, yes, but I didn't take it at the time.
Yes.
Then after high school, I got a chance to be at the University of Nairobi, where when your parents wanasemanga, I want you to go out there and be your best. So at University of Nairobi, I was studying space and technology for the first 3 years, and then I realized this is not my calling.
Yes.
So I switched my course and went to theater and arts. That's where I learned production and art. And then I got an opportunity to work with a Canadian company here in Kenya during COVID. This is basically how task is coming.
Yes.
So an opportunity to work with them. I was doing African stories of the ghetto children from where I come from, telling our stories differently. So I developed a documentary, and I would record it here, supply the content the other side. And that's how I started interacting with creatives in the ghettos and in the rural areas, and they would complain, we have this talent but hatuna platform.
Hatuna platform ya
kuonyesha
platform.
Ama unapata, like when you would go to Go Down Arts, if you all know Go Down Arts, when you'd go to Go Down Arts, you find them hosting German artists, Chinese artists, like big artists, but not local artists. And when you go to Mta, talent equal, big deal equal. So that's basically how I started TOO's concept, and we evolved later into Art for Change. How do we use the art that we have? Because whatever we are doing, people are using different forms of art, and somehow it was changing their lives. So how do we start something called Art for Change campaign? And basically that's how we started, and yeah, here we are.
Wow. A round of applause for Quinta.
Thank you.
I think it's so inspirational when somebody uses their God-given talent and their skill set so that you can be able, like I said, not only to better yourself, but to also better the community you hail from. So asante sana, Quinta. Now, at this point, we've been talking about top 40 and the 40, Africa top 40, and I'm sure there are viewers who are at home who are wondering, what is this? And what is the vetting process, based off your experience, throughout from the nomination all the way to winning. Just give us a little bit of insight on what top 40, under 40 Africa awards are.
So I think for me, I'll start from how I even got to know about the awards. I had never heard about them. And this day, I'm just seated in my house. It was in December, and one of my I like to call her my team members, sends me a DM on Instagram. And I look at this thing and I'm like, 40 under 40 Africa Awards. I was so confused. I'm like, why would Jackie send me this? Then I wrote back to her. So I read about it, then I wrote back to her. I'm like, Jackie, do you actually think I can apply for this? She's like, yes, you have to do it. I'm like, okay.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to try, right? Then another friend of mine came to my house that evening, and I told her, so I just received this thing, do you think we should go for it? She's like, yes, now get your laptop out, we are doing the nominations. I'm like, okay, fantastic. So we did the whole nomination process. They are very straightforward. It's very categorical in the whole process.
Yes.
So the first thing is the nomination. So once you're nominated, then you get into the next phase where you have to submit a lot of documents and a lot of the work that you've done. And so it's more like your proof of concept and showcasing exactly your role in your industry and what you've been nominated for and the impact that you've had in the society as well. So at least we've had footage, we had some of the awards I've won in the past, So we put all that together, your financial statements for your business, you know, to show the trajectory of your growth. So it was intense. It
so
was
this
not
is
just
legit. This is not that someone is saying, oh,
Absolutely.
Maria
No.
just got, she was just given, this is
yeah, and
kuna
it's
something
not only,
huku.
and it's not
Kuna
only
vile.
voting.
Yes.
It's not only a voting process. That was part of the process, but it's not the only thing that determines the win.
Yes.
There's so much more behind the scenes, you know. So it was all very, very clear. There is no backdoor. I mean, you've paid someone off.
How can
or
you
you've-
even backdoor for something like that when you're
Exactly.
being asked for things like your financial statement?
You can't make that up.
You can't make
yeah,
that up.
exactly. And if you're also being nominated as you as the individual. So whatever you're submitting, it has to show proof that you're the one who has done the work. If it's a social impact, and for instance, let's say you give back the community, how do you do that? So for instance, like for us, there's a children's home we support. So we have photos that shows we actually go to these homes, and this is what we go to do, and this is the impact that we've had in the society.
Yes.
So it's very personal. It's very it's very transparent.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it also gives you an opportunity to sort of even reflect on how far you've come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So tell me, how was it on that day when, so there was a nomination that went through, and then there were the award ceremonies that were in March, and you're sitting in the hotel. I mean, how was it that moment for you when they just announced your name? I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. I'm like, ooh, I just faint. But
First
how
of all,
was it?
I think, so for me, first of all, it even caught me off guard, because in my head,
Yes.
I thought they were going to follow alphabetical order.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
In the calling out of the names. Then I don't know what I was doing there with my daughter, and then I just had my name. I was like, oh, oops, okay.
This is happening
This is
now.
happening now. And I remember actually when people started being called, I was like, I don't even have a speech. What do I do? So I needed to write something quickly. I know, you know. So it was very surreal.
Yeah.
It actually honestly took a couple of days
For it to
sink
sit in.
Yeah. I actually took a couple of, not even days, maybe a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It still seemed unreal. I was like, okay, how did we get here? From the nomination to the voting to the whole process to the awarding of the, you know, I mean, it's been humbling.
Yeah.
It's been a reminder of the hard work, the resilience, the dedication that we've put in. Yeah, so it's been quite an amazing experience.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I have full-on FOMO at this point. Is it really FOMO, or am I vicariously living you? I can see myself there.
Yeah.
I'm there in the award ceremony. Thank you so much. Quinta, over to you. Tell me about that day. Tell me when the nomination, so you've done the same process as she has. You know, you've gone through the vetting process. You have already given out your documents. You are showing them that, yes, I'm good for this. I deserve to actually be here. Now, on that D-Day, when you're in the hall where you people were holding the ceremony, tell me about that moment when you just had your name. And actually tell me the category that you applied for, and how was it for you?
Okay, so let me just take you back a little bit.
Yes.
So leading up to the award, I was not even in the country. Not even award, the nomination part of it.
Yes.
So we were running an art campaign of, you know, how to recycle textile into repurposing of waste into fine arts, fine pieces of art. So I was in Peru. I remember it was all over the world. So I was in Peru. Had just gotten to Peru. Then I was on a video call with my son Aziel, and I'm seeing an email pop on my screen that you've been nominated, blah blah blah. You need to submit some documents to verify your process. And then I go through the same process that Miriam has gone through, and I submit my documents. Up to now, even when I was running my voting campaigns, I still don't know who nominated me, honestly.
Oh, wow.
And thanks to that woman or a guy out there who nominated me. But for real, I've never known who did. Someone did, and I'm thankful for that, because I submitted my documents. And you didn't mention the jury.
There's a jury. So
There's a jury.
You're in front of a jury, and you're being asked questions.
Yes, there's a whole jury where you're being asked questions of how you've started the project, and they're even following up on those people, because I had initially done some small work with Go Down Arts. They had to follow up, and one of the jury members was part of Go Down Arts team back in 2019. So imagine if I had lied.
Oh dear.
You can imagine. So when this guy is part of the board, they verify the information, they look at the documents, and it's all verified. It was all good, and locked in. Out of 119, 3 of us ladies in Kenya only. I mean, that's something to celebrate. Oh my
God, I'm going to stop you right there. Let's give it a round of applause. Meaning that out of 319, I have 90.
No, so they had like a whole pool.
Yes.
And then they cut it down to 119, and then again cut it down to 40. So you can imagine how that was like very serious, and it was a surreal moment for me. Honestly, I remember that night we had prepared to go to the event together, and so our son, we had to take him to Shosh so that he can stay with Shosh. And I remember Shosh calling us and telling us, today Azel doesn't want to sleep. And I'm like, maybe he's waiting to hear this win. He wants to hear this win, you know. And my Shosh couldn't sleep too. And I remember our category. We had 2 people in our category. So there's theater and then there's art. So they're like, and the winner of this category is one. And like someone else all the way in Algeria. And I said, oh my God. And I remember we were sitting with Ray and Ruth and all that stuff. And I was like, don't worry, Quintan. Next time will be your time. And I'm like, yeah, we tried. And all of a sudden they're like, and the last winner in this category is, I was like, oh my God, that was a moment, honestly. That was a moment. That was a moment. And immediately I called a show. We went there, gave our speech, received the award. And I still don't believe it up to this moment. Every time I'm walking into my home office and I see that award, it's something. It's really something.
Well, my dear, you better believe it. You are on a talk show. You're on Dadas. And we are here to celebrate you and honor you. And to be honest, the excitement and the serenity of this whole experience for both of you is palpable. Are you guys feeling it in the energy? You can feel it. I'm about to tear up because I'm thinking, oh my God, I would wail and cry and call all the gods. I'd be a complete mess. But then again, congratulations. Now, what does it mean to you? Because there's something about when the pomp and the glamour is done, and we've gotten the awards, and you're walking through your home office and you're seeing, and there's recognition, and there are people like Ashiko on the phone telling you, I want to feature you, come to the show, come do this. What does it mean to you in a nutshell? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to your company, to your family? What does being awarded getting this award mean to you?
I think for me it's different things to different people. I still remember my daughter's reaction that night. And I felt like it's the first time she actually understood what exactly I was doing.
Like, this goes to work
she goes to work all the time. She travels, she does this, she comes back home late. But I felt like there was a joy that she exuded, and like a proud moment. And that really reminded me of the reason why I keep doing this every day. And then I also believe for our industry, especially the events industry, it's been evolving a lot since COVID. And for me, this is the determinant factor of how are we setting ourselves apart in the industry. I believe there's a whole breed that's also coming to an end, like our old, the people who started before us.
Yes, the pioneers.
The pioneers of the industry. There's that phase sort of slowly dying down, and now I believe it's also our time. It's our season, it's our time for us to also set ourselves apart, leave a mark in the industry, a legacy in the industry, do things different as well. And so I still remember also that next Monday after the awards, I had so much anxiety. Like I couldn't explain what it was, but I felt like, so what next?
Now the expectations.
Exactly. What comes after this? What's expected of me after this?
Yes.
And I had to really also talk myself through it and remind myself I don't need to do anything different. Whatever I used to do or whatever I've done to get
what got you there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I've settled into that, affirmation of who I am, and also it's also a way to also motivate my team. I always say I'm proud to have a team of almost 99% women, and for me it also feels like I'm building a sisterhood.
Yes.
I'm bringing together the other women with me as well in the industry. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really well put. Before we go on break, what does this win mean for you? Because your project touches so many lives. You're talking about the children in Mathare and Kibera and Mukuruku and Jenga and all of these people, all of these individuals and young individuals have been able to benefit or are looking up to you. What does this win mean for you and for the people who you represent?
When I came to Nairobi,
from Bondo,
shamba la mawe,
yes,
tunakujanga kutafuta.
Yes.
And after campus, it has haijaikuwa easy after campus starting off the project. And I forgot to mention the first area nishaishi ilikuwa Kayole 96 hapo kwa Dio. And to me so all the way from 96 and right now I would say I'm comfortable.
Yes.
This is a reminder that an idea as a child, as a young person, uko ghetto, uko ushago, you can package an idea into something that solves a problem that the world needs. Only if you're brave enough to take actions, because I'm telling you, our point yetu ya kublow, it was during COVID-19. During COVID-19, that is when the EU contacted us to do a campaign on teaching the public how to follow the measures of COVID-19. So how can we do this easily in the ghettos? Art. So we went down writing and drawing campaigns all over Tanzania, and that was the moment. We saw this is a solution to problems in the community. So ule youth ako nyumbani, bora uko na hii idea na unajua the idea solves a problem in the society and in our communities, take it up. To me, this is a reminder that what we are doing is valuable, it's needed, and it has space in the community. Yeah, I would say that is it, because it reminds my team that what they're doing is amazing. They also love identifying with the winner.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. And so we just keep pushing, because I can tell you for a fact, right before this award, I was elected as the CEO of a Swiss company.
Wow,
here in Kenya, Charge 24. And I'm as young as I am. And I met these guys through art when I was in London and Switzerland. That's when we met and we started this conversation. And it trickles down to Kenya. And now, so the impact we're doing in Art for Change somehow is related to what we're doing in terms of Charge 24. And yeah, so I'm just like, step into those rooms, be yourself,
yes,
own your ideas, bro, and make it happen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well said. Oh, I know. You read my mind. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, that would be an ideal place for us to take a small break, and then we'll come back for the question and answer session. Remember, we are having a celebration today, and we are celebrating these phenomenal women. And after the conversation that we've just had, you can see why they definitely emerged on the top of their groups. So I'll see you all in a bit. Don't go far away. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you have missed such an engaging first segment. But fear not, we are here for the question and answer session. And remember, today we are celebrating, we are honoring two phenomenal ladies who clinched the winning position during the recently concluded Top 40 Under 40 Africa Awards that were held in March 30th. Yeah. So we will start off with the question and answer session. I'm sure my wonderful audience have questions, maybe words of advice, words of encouragement to our wonderful panel. To start us off, I will begin with Michelle. Michelle, karibu sana.
Thank you so much. My question is to Quinta. I wanted to ask, what advice would you offer a young girl who is in the Kenyan ghetto or the slum, who is aspiring to win such a recognition such as 40 Under 40, and would also want to win a similar accolade or would want to run a company of their own in future? Yes.
Task Concepts itself is an organization for the ghetto people and the slum people and watu wa ushago who need this platform, not just them, but everyone who needs this platform and they don't have the resources. And what I believe is bringing resources together enables us to get from point A to point B. So tafuta wale watu wenye unajua wanaweza kusaidia, people who can lead you to the right direction, have a clear vision of where you want to head. Sometimes we don't have it all figured out. When you just have the clear vision, in between challenges, they're just part of life. But you just keep going, dealing with them one day at a time, and then utafika hapo. Number one. Number two, network. Networking is very, very important, and I would say that is one thing that has changed my life big time. Networking with the right people. Number three, always be ready to learn. Someone said in another room that us watu wa young, sometimes we just want to wake up and be winners tomorrow. And it does not work like that. To some people, yes, it does. Some people you have to go the long way. Be ready to learn. Be present in those rooms, because there's some rooms you'll be called in, utalipwa. There's some contracts you'll do, but you are learning. You're learning how to handle these people. Being in events, you know what it means. Sometimes supplying. You're supplying over 100 pieces. Someone created an LPO for you, and they won't even honor it, And then, so just always be ready to learn. Ongea na watu wanajua, watu wako kwa hii field, and yeah, doors will open if you just keep going. But if you sit back, regrets will come definitely.
Thank you so much, and I believe, Michelle, your question has been answered. Our next question or comment is from Rehema.
Thank you for having us here today. It's been really wholesome, just sitting down and hearing what these women have to share with us. And it's very encouraging, and in lines to that, I'd like to direct my question to Maria and ask her, this experience, these 5 years that you've had, what have you learned that you feel you can trickle down to someone who is trying to start a business in the same area as you are, and including the factor of age? Was it ever a hindrance to you?
That's an excellent question.
First of all, if you do your math, you realize I started my business at 30. I hadn't even thought about that actually for a minute until now. And but I was so confident in myself and in the experience that I had learned over the 9-10 years that I was in employment. And I really want to support what Quinta has said. Hakuna kitu muhimu kama kujituma. And I always tell people it's not always just about the money. It's about the experience, it's about your passion, it's about the impact you're having in the industry. It's about, really bringing out that God-given talent that you've been given. And honestly, when I started Xperia in 2019, I did so many events that I was never paid to date. To date. But I gained a wealth of experience. I can't say I had run a business before. It was I was just starting off. So I was learning as I go. You make mistakes. You know who is for you and who is not for you. You know who to trust and not who not to trust. You think you'll collaborate with friends and they're the ones who support you the most.
And they're the ones who sabotage
most
you.
of the time, it's not. They're the ones who sabotage you the most. And also for me, there's nothing that I've appreciated the most as a power of collaborations and partnerships. Xperia will not be Xperia if I didn't have partners and people I've collaborated with over those 5 years. My suppliers, I tell people, are my everything because we are project managers. We manage conferences, we manage corporate events. But we have to have the partners to bring everything together, you know? And for me, I treat my partners with such utter respect that, first of all, I will never, for lack of a better word, which is very common in our industry, is lack of paying them when the client pays. For me, it's a first thing. It's my first order of business. As long as the payment is in, my suppliers come first. And for me, that has helped me a lot to maintain and grow my relationships, the trust that they have in me, that even when I don't have the money and the resources,
they know you're good
they
for
know
it.
exactly,
Yeah.
and they'll always support me, and they'll always, you know, be ready to, you know, to be there and to make sure that we shine regardless of the situation. So the power of collaboration is important. It's huge. I always say COVID also was a great learning for me. As Quinta said, COVID was her breakthrough. For me, COVID was the moment, you know, that when you're told you have that season where you're sort of in silence with your God.
Yeah.
It's where you're knowing who you really are.
Yeah.
Because I didn't expect I'll leave employment and start my business, and then COVID will hit.
And then COVID hits globally.
Globally, you have no control over it. You have the 2020 and 2021 in totality, I must have done 4 events.
Wow.
Yeah,
For a business that wholly depends on events.
on events.
Oh dear.
You know, so you can imagine what that does to your mental health. And I must commend my friend who just passed away, Michael Yeros, my very good friend and my big brother. And that season, when I look at it, he's actually the only one I could turn to, because he was a counselor, he was a
Yes,
psychologist.
he's a
And you can't talk to anyone at that point, because who do you even try? Everyone is, you know, everyone is dealing. And at that point, he's the only one, I know, I could actually talk to him. I was even reflecting on this with my friends. And so, knowing who you are, that's my reference. It's critical, and especially as a woman, and getting to that point, and believing in yourself, and even getting to your breaking point, and then knowing and having the ability to rebuild yourself, because you have to.
You have to.
No one else will do it for you. You have to do it yourself.
Thank you so much, Rehema, for that question. That was a really, really insightful question. Next, we have a question from Joanne.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. My question will go to Maria. What do you envision for your organization and event management in general? Yes, thank you.
So I've been very intentional in growing my business, and intentionally saying that we are going to other African markets and not just Kenya. And I have to say, it's something that has also happened organically as early as last year, when I was outsourced by another company in Rwanda to go and project manage a couple of events in Zambia and Ethiopia.
Yes.
It's nothing I had done, but I had to step up and actually do it. And once I did that, I felt like it gave me the courage to believe that it's doable. Like it's not hard. Again, I'll refer to Quinta. Lazima tujitume.
Lazima.
You have to, you know. And there are a lot of moments that I've done it scared, you know. And I've even called my team and I'm like, guys, this one is tough, but I have to keep going. I can't stop, you know. And once you get to the finish line and the event is done and it's a success, and you know, there's a fulfillment that you get in your spirit that's different. You know, that it's wholesome, and you know that the reason why you're doing this, you're not just doing it for the sake of doing it. It's actually what I believe. This is what I was meant to do in this world.
Purpose.
This is my purpose.
Yeah.
So I really believe now with the Africa 40 and Top 40 Under 40 Africa Award, it's a confirmation that you are going to Africa. You know, for me, that's my driving force. And with that said, we've also been talking with my team and wondering, how do we also set ourselves apart in the industry? We know sustainability is a huge discussion right now, and now every event that we are planning, we have to see how do we incorporate elements of sustainability. Is it in the suppliers we partner with, for instance, the less privileged communities, you know, in the different communities in Kajiado, you know, in the slums, who can even come together and create, for instance, giveaways for our guests. That's for using recyclable materials. That's part of, you know.
I see a collab right here.
Yeah, I know.
Who else is it?
Yeah, so
I see a collab right here.
absolutely. So and that's what I was saying, the power of partnerships as well. I'm very big in supporting local. And it's local, it's women, it's the youth, you know, it's the less privileged, you know, it's those young girls who have conceived at a young age, but they still believe they have a purpose as well, and they're doing something with their lives. How can we support them? You know, how can we create a change as well in the, you know, in the world? So sustainability is huge for us, and that also couples up with making sure that we are also the go-to company for any organization that's looking to handle or rather to execute green events.
So thank you so much, Maria, for that. We are going to move on to our next question by Waboi.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to be here and to listen to these amazing women who are making impact in business and in the community as well. My question goes to both Quinta and Maria. Being mothers, how do you manage to juggle family, life, and running successful businesses?
I have to say it's definitely not easy. It's a balance that you have to be very intentional about. You remember when we grew up in the village. Like, a child is raised by a village. I'm still a strong believer in that. And I must say I've been very blessed to have a village around me. I have my mother who lives in the city with me, my sisters, my friends, and I know the people who I can trust my child around. You know, when those moments where I have to travel or I have to stay late for work, you know. So there are those sacrifices that you have to make, but also for me, I'm also very intentional with spending time with her. And it's in how I do it, and it's when I do it. When I have a moment, we'll go somewhere for a trip, or we just stay home, or we go and jump on the trampoline, which is our favorite thing to do. So it's not an easy balance, but it's doable.
It's doable.
Absolutely.
It's definitely doable.
Yeah.
Family is one important element that holds us together in our various fields that we are running. And to be honest, if it was not for my mom, on the two mothers I have, basically, I wouldn't have made it here. Because she's always there for us. She's always there for that baby since day one. And it's also, it feels good when you're just coming back home and you know, you're just being welcomed back home with your little one. They kind of release you the tension of the day, and you just want to, you just want to take that small few minutes of reaching home to just catch up on how was your day. And then I'm very intentional with my weekends. My team members know that. I put my phone on D&D and I don't touch it at all unless the office is burning or something is really happening, or if it's not an urgent matter and I'm spending time with him, it's him and him alone. So just as Miriam said, I'm very intentional with the time I'm spending with him and my family members, and we are super close. Occasionally, it's like every weekend we are together, and that has held us together. And my mom, she's always there to just advise me, remind me how things are supposed to be, always there to pick him up anytime there's a journey we are supposed to go to or something. Yeah, so I would say family has really played an important role in molding me who I am today.
Thank you.
And especially
so
that
much.
boy, Aziel himself. He's a motivation himself. He's the reason I go out there and go hard. And I would say since getting him, things have been different. Yeah, in a good way.
In a good way.
Yes.
Excellent. Children do give us purpose. At the end of the day, you have a reason for slaving. When you're slaving, crying blood, tears, sweat, they are the purpose. But I think what resonates the most from both of you is the importance of having a support network. Yes. People who you can trust. It could be your friends, it could be family, it could be relatives. So wherever you're doing, ladies out there, if you're finding it a little bit difficult to juggle between your careers and your motherhood and your parenthood, feel free to reach out out to your support networks. You may be surprised that they are available to help you. So feel free if you have a reliable support network. And our next question of this segment is from one Mr. Collins. Collins, karibu sana.
Appreciate the moment I've been here. My question is directed to Quinta. And what are some of the ways the government can enable the youth in the work they do out here on the street?
Okay, Quinta?
Good question. There's one thing I really learned when I was at women conference, the one in Rwanda. What was it? The big conference last year. I think women conference. It was women conference, supported by various funders all around the world, and there's just one organization. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to promote a product or something, but there's one organization that I had them present during one of those conferences, and they were talking about trying to find ways to avail resources to the youth without the middlemen, or rather they can find a specific responsibility for the middlemen, right? Maybe the verification process, trying to find those organizations. Like in Kenya, there's NILAB. NILAB did that for me. For our organization, and then they opened a door to getting funding from Planned Parenthood. So I would say, if the government, they always say that they feel like maybe government akujangi napea my youth to pesa tudogo, you know, like mtu anakupea tao tano ya leo, kesho nikiamka, what else? What happens? You see? So basically, if the avenues that are providing the fundings can be sustainable, and they have some sort of a good platform or strategy on how to follow it up, even how the impact is going, the growth process and all that stuff. If it's something that it can be implemented, I'm seeing some ministries in Kenya trying to implement it. If it can go big and maybe inform the youth, I will tell you, a lot of us Kenyan youths are missing on so many opportunities. Sijui kama zina existingi, ama ni kusemwa tu. Some of them are just being said. Some of them really do exist. They share this information that this stuff exists, and it really does exist. Or they share it exists, ukifika, unapata system iko na error. It happens a lot. You understand? Here in Kenya, it happens a lot.
Thank you so much, Quinta. I hope the powers that be are taking a keen ear on what is being said, you know, about streamlining some of these processes and the registration. Because if the opportunity is there to build a community, then there's no reason why the checks and balance should be the reason why that is not happening. So thank you so much, Quinta, for your insight. We have our final question of the day, and that is from Eva.
Thank you for the opportunity. This was a very exciting session, lots of useful nuggets from both panelists. My question to both of them is just to find out, curious to know what motivates you and keeps you going, even despite the hard times, the challenges and lessons that you've spoken to. What keeps you going?
Thank you so much, Eva. That's an excellent question. I'll start off with you, Maria.
I think for me, I'll say failing was not an option. I believe that it was time for me to start my own business, and despite the challenges that I faced, I was willing to keep going. Faith kept me going as well. You know, faith, we say the definition of faith is when you believe in the unseen, what you're yet to see, but you still believe that it's going to happen. For me, that's what kept me going. And of course, my child. Looking at my daughter every day, she's such a huge motivation and inspiration in my life. I gave birth to her when I was 25. So right now, she's also at an age where she's almost getting to a twin. You know how exposed they are in this day and age. So even how we relate and how we talk to each other and how she challenges me as well. Every day I'm like, I want to be better for this girl. I want her to grow with, you know, a role model. Like saying she's proud of how much her mother has achieved and how hard she has worked, you know, to build her own business, you know. So that's what motivates me.
That's an excellent answer. You know, failure was not an option. Failure was not an option. Faith in your child. Thank you so much. That is what motivated Maria. What about you, Quinta?
For me, what motivates me most is when I sit down in the house and I'm trying to watch the videos of our impact stories. So like the Mandera project, we ever did at Art for Change tour in Mandera. That forever holds a special place in my heart. The impact stories of these young girls, them sharing about what the whole project did to them. Anytime I'm going through a rough time, I just go and watch that clip on YouTube. And it motivates me a lot. Then looking back at where I come from to where I am today, I believe I'm not where God intends me to be. I always tell my friends, at the time I really dreamt Jesus was giving me his hands like this.
Yes.
And they don't believe me. But I'm like, I know the dream, I know how it looks like. And I know my purpose is probably yet to come, a bigger one. Or rather, maybe I'm playing it right now and I don't know. I'm doing it right now and maybe I don't know. So when I look at where I come from to where I am today, I believe there's so much to do. And there's a small story I was supposed to tell you about Mukuru kwa Njenga. So there was an incident that happened briefly in before they swept the whole place recently. We had done our research and stuff. I was supposed to mention this during the government stuff. And we did our research before building this structure. Then we started investing. We almost spent like $4,000, $4,000 to $5,000 up construction, moving well. Then all of a sudden, dramas came in. They swept the whole place. My funders were so mad that they left me hanging. They didn't even want to have the conversation with me anymore. But those children, the fact that during that time, we didn't even know if this land is clear, but we did our research, we were approved to proceed. But we proceeded, and then in the middle of the construction, everything was stopped. The whole documentary is actually on my YouTube. And anytime these kids tell me there will be another way for you to come back and build for us this institution, we know there will be a day. It has not happened yet. I almost gave up during that time, but I believe I believe, honestly, I don't pray every day, but I talk to God in my ways, and I believe that eventually we will build a school in Mukuru. The goal is to have art centers all over Kenya. Right now we are kicking it off with our partners. We hopefully will get there. And so hearing these phone calls, them calling me, unajua, how Quinta unaendeleaje? And they speak Swahili, funnily enough, clear Swahili, pure Swahili, and they tell me, we know you will find a solution to eventually come back and build again. That keeps me going. And yeah, Aziel, oh my God, watching this little man
it's motivation.
Grow, yeah, it's just a motivation of itself every single day. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And for Quinta, her inspiration is seeing where she's come from and seeing the impact that her work has on people. And I think that cuts across for so many people. You know, when you look at the impact, when people come back and they share with you testimonies, and I'm sure for you as well, it has happened. Someone telling you that was a wonderful event. Thank you so much. It gives you inspiration. It motivates you to keep moving. So we have come to the end of today's celebration. And listening to both Maria and Quinta, there are things that resonate with me. And there's a poem from, there's a verse from a poem by Mr. Carl Sherade that resonates with everything you're talking about. Allow me to share. It says, when called upon to give a talk before a crowd that sit and gawk, your shattered nerves may drive you nuts and you may think you have no guts. Don't say you can't because you are shy. You'll never know until you try. So ladies, whatever it is that you are doing at home, whatever it is that you want to get into, be it business, be it employment, whatever you want to get, and there are doubts, there is self-doubt, there are challenges that are facing you left, right, and center, and you're not sure if you should try. Remember what our ladies have told us, the inspiration is you will never know until you actually try. So remember to also share your stories, your opinions, and feedback on this and any other show that we have had. And on behalf of the production team at KBC, our location partner, Ole Sereni Hotel, and myself, Ashiko Mbone, I wish you an inspiring week, and thank you all for tuning in. I will see you same time, same place next week. For now, bye-bye.